Dun, dun, dun. Hey guys, it's Inkeater, and tonight there was going to be a time lapse, and then roadblocks got in the way yesterday in a roundabout way. Essentially, I never finished this week's drawing. I never even gave you guys a choice, kind of. So yeah. So I figure we would give you a choice on YouTube, so definitely vote if you can see it, and if not, if you're on Instagram, vote there. I don't know who the choices are yet, but we'll let you know. But tonight I wanted to talk about swatches.
I'm seeing things that aren't real. I'm seeing things I shouldn't see. I'm dreaming things I've never seen.
You're beginning to think in images, concrete images. Hot, cold, light, dark, food, hunger, pain.
Swatches and my love and hate relationship with them. And you're probably like, what are swatches? I know that a lot of you aren't artists per se, but you like the artistic content, which is kind of cool. But essentially, swatches are exactly what you think it is. A painted version of whatever that color is going to look like, so that you're aware. And it's kind of funny because I had to paint this one all over again, and I'm so mad because I know eventually I'm going to find this swatch and I'm going to be like, why? Does that happen to anybody else where you misplace something that you desperately need and you haven't exactly found a way of dealing with it other than taping it to your wall where your art area is? Because both are not going to leave the same area, or so you think. I don't know. I've always had this horrible hate relationship with swatches. Like, for instance, I keep them usually in the case. This one doesn't happen to have one because I need to redo it because I lost it. Mine, is this it? No. Mine, essentially, I've left loose for the majority of the time inside the cases. And I haven't lost them up until this point, which is this one and that one that I just showed you. And ironically enough, the one that's falling apart, reasons. So in case you're curious as towards reasons why you don't buy cheap watercolors, this is probably one of them. Granted, some people could argue that it's because you have it in a plastic watercolor tin. No, I just had the experience that cheap watercolors just don't stay. They like to kind of free float, though that golden yellow's hanging on. It's probably golden ochre too. Oh, it was yellow ochre. Oh, we were close. So these that I do in the palettes, I usually, this is a bad idea to flip this because this has a hole and they're all going to go flying out, or maybe not. As you can see, all of the pans are labeled, so in case I want to refill them. Granted, I do not think this is one that I'm going to want to refill. Remember, if I'm correct, I think I painted the Game of Thrones series with these colors, and they're just not my favorite. They're really dark and gothic looking. I'll show you the thumbnails. Swatches. We use that terminology interchangeably in art, and I think it's kind of funny because some people call these thumbnails, some people call them swatches. Essentially, the little circles that you paint. How do you save yours? I know a lot of you people use sketchbooks, which I think is kind of genius. In my instance, it just sucks ass. Like, I am horrible at sitting there and keeping a book of swatches because I'm like, what the hell? That's just a book. Don't get me wrong, I get the aesthetic of it, but at the same time I'm like, there should be more in the notebook than just swatches. That's me. And I think it's a genius idea though, in terms of like holding them all in one area, but for me it's just, no, not gonna happen. I can't dedicate a book. I'm not that dedicated. Like, I can finish a sketchbook, but I'm not that dedicated to just keep a sketchbook full of swatches. That's a lot of colors. Like, I don't know about you all, but I don't buy that many colors. In fact, my favorite set happens to be this other Lang Nickel and Royal set. And I'm sorry about the noise just now, because I just realized that I had this really close, and I snapped it really close hard. Anyway, but it's kind of funny, because for me, I really love this particular set. It's the cheapie of the cheapie sets. Don't get me wrong, Reeves is nice. I think if it had a lot more colors, I might be a little bit entertained. Granted, I'm used to painting and making all my own colors because I think there's some kind of beauty in knowing how to mix colors. That's probably like one of my favorite things with acrylic painting, but that's a whole story for another day. But yeah, artist tip, don't buy cheap watercolors if you can't. But if that's all you can afford, work with it, own it. I personally used Crayola watercolors for like the longest, just because they did the job. And also, and honestly, like, at the end of the day, like, when you're just experimenting with things and you're not sure if you're really into it or not, it's always cool to buy, like, the cheap shit. Because I've realized I really like watercoloring, so I invested in some Reeves watercolors. Granted, I don't think, these, honestly, you'll see they don't fall out. Reason being, they're not cheap. Not super expensive, but not cheap. Not cheaply made. And it's kind of interesting because that's like one observation that I can make between cheap watercolors that are both in tubes. Because this brand is this other brand, and I really love their 36 color water set, but I do not know what happened with that one. Their, what is it? 12 set watercolors. Like, I'm not sure what happened to this one other than it's like a gothic set. That's the one that I used to paint my Game of Thrones series. But I was so frustrated this past week, so I had to repaint my 36 color so that I could paint Lyanna Mormont from Game of Thrones this past week. And that's kind of funny because I'm like, really? Had to go through all that trouble? Granted, it was worth it because now I have the swatches and they're on my wall. But it got me thinking, like, how do you guys, as artists, sit there and not misplace your swatches? Or how do you deal with your swatches if you make swatches? Because I know a lot of artists just don't. They know their watercolors, they know how they work. Me, sometimes I walk away from things, and I have a lot of hobbies, and at the end of the day, sometimes I forget what that color looks like until I paint it. So sometimes I have a lot of index cards on hand, and you'll see me testing out a color every once in a while because I'm just not that sure about it. Yeah, kind of trying to avoid that now. Or usually I do it when I'm mixing two colors together. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below, how do you deal with not misplacing things? Anyway, I can't be the only one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys are doing awesome. And if you like this artist tip / vlog, you may like ours. You might like this playlist. I don't know. Maybe not. Hit or miss. I'm gonna go back to cutting buttons because that's what I've been doing the last few days, and it's been freaking amazing and awesome. But yeah, anyway, hope you guys are doing awesome. Bye.
Whatever it is that you believe you're seeing, it's not real.
Seeing things before they happen.
Things are not always what they seem in this place. So you can't take anything for granted.